But before I begin with my next chapter, I want to make something clear. I tried to get a ghostwriter to write my story, but it was impossible. And the reason why is because, when you write something, it's got to sound like the person you're writing about. And they were having a hard time, interpreting the way I speak. I'm not making this up. This is the way I am. And so therefore, I decided to do these videos. It's the easiest way of me coming across my audience, and you could hear the way I express myself. And these ghostwriters, actually just, there was two of them. They didn't get it. They were writing about, my story, but it didn't sound like me. Very difficult. So anyway, this is why I'm doing this. So let me pick up from where I left off on my second chapter, where I was going to, if I recall, yes, I met my father in Rome, and I was really, really pissed with the guy. Well, I should say my father, never really kept his word with me, played around, a lot of games. And when I arrived in Rome, I was really, really close with his partner, Rodolfo. The guy loved me, but, I come to think about it, that the guy loved me for the wrong reason. Like I said, the guy was gay. I didn't know it at the time. I found that out later on in life. But whatever the guy had in mind, they died with him. But anyway, so he would kind of instigate me into aggravating my father. Not that I needed any instigation. I was doing a good job all by myself. But he kind of, put wood on the fire, and he kept pushing me. Tell your father to buy you the car. Well, and they took me down to a Jaguar dealer that Rodolfo knew. I picked out a car, really nice. We got in it. We took it for a ride, driving around in the city of Rome. Very difficult to drive around in those cities. But anyway, I was doing great. I was really happy. I'm in the car. It's not that, he's going to buy me a car. I'm in the car. And we go down to the dealer after we test drive the car and all that beautiful stuff. And it was like my car. So I'm sitting in the office with my father and Rodolfo, and I say to my father, "Hey, Dad, you're really going to buy me this car? I can't believe you're buying me this car. And you didn't do it for me back in the USA." And in those days, to get a car from Europe to New York, it was like a 6 months to 12 months wait. So I turned around and said, "Dad, you're laying out the money to buy me a car here. Why don't we, save me a lot of trouble waiting for this car to arrive, and just buy me the car when we're back to New York." So he looked at me, he says, "Okay, that's a good idea." All right, fine. Beautiful. Now, he's going to give me the car, and everything is wonderful. So now he's got to finish his business, so I'm hanging out with him in Rome. And meanwhile, Rodolfo, like I said, the guy has something with me. Again, it was in his mind. So he's parading me, and there was a tournament, a karate tournament in Rome. And he says, "Come on, I want to take you there. It's a big tournament. I want to introduce you to some of my friends, and all the wonderful stuff." I says, "Okay, fine." Now, when I travel in my uniform all the time. I don't know why, but I did. So I got my karate gi with me, and he says, "Come on, we'll go over there and introduce you to, to this Italian guy that, as a matter of fact, he had been in Japan, and he had a Japanese wife." So I went there. It was a big place. I'm not saying it wasn't Madison Square Garden, but it was a big place. So he introduced me to the main teacher there. And right away, the guy, he wanted to capitalize on the fact that I was coming from Japan. So he says to me, "Come on, put on your gi, we'll do a demonstration, me and you, it'll be good for the class, it'll be good for the people. I'll introduce you, you're from Brooklyn, and you've been in Japan," all that bullshit they tell you. But I seen through all that. I knew what the guy was up to, but, I just went along with it. I said to the guy, "Look, we're going to get on the mat. We're going to do a demonstration. It's going to be a nice demonstration, control, all of that stuff, right? Just for show." Goes, "Yeah, don't worry about it. We're not going to do anything." I said, "Okay, I just want to, get it straight." So, again, pushing my buttons. We get on the mat. And I don't know how many. There was a lot of people there. A lot of people. First, I did a demonstration. They wanted me to do a demonstration by myself. I did a kata. It was wonderful. Everybody loved it. Everybody clapped. Yeah, okay, fine. And he says, "Okay, now we're going to do a little bit of committee, you and I." That's when I said, "Okay, this is where it's going to turn out bad. Because this guy is going to..." What he did was he brought me high up in the sky, and now he was going to kick my ass in front of all these people, and of course his school would have looked good. And I knew that was coming. I've been in the game a long time. I knew that was coming. And I tried to make a point with the guy. I said, "Listen, we're going to take it easy, right?" He says, "Yeah, we're going to take it easy." I says, "Okay, fine. I just want to make sure." I take off my hat here. And we get on the mat. We bowed at each other. And the guy tried to rip my head off. But I deflect everything he threw at me. I looked at him after we stopped for a second. And I didn't say anything because, there was nothing to say. But I just looked at him. And he understood. So now, we started again. He comes into me, and he tried to flip me. And I let him flip me a little bit. He's got me on the ground, and then I seen, right after I submitted to him, because I wanted him to look good, he was Rodolfo's friend, he went and he wanted to step on me. When he picked up his foot, and I kicked the supporting leg that he was on. He went to the ground, and I came around from the floor, and I gave him a roundhouse right to his chest, where it made a sound between his back, and actually we were on the floor, wood floor, and the floor. Got up, we batted at each other. He looked stupid, because at that point he looked stupid. I kicked his ass, pretty much. At the end of this exhibition, it was like an exhibition tournament type of thing. They awarded me with a medal. I don't even know what I did with that medal. I think I gave it to Rodolfo with the kimono that I brought from Japan. And that was it. That was the end of that. So now we spent a few weeks in Rome, and I wasn't really dressing to my father's expectation, I was 17. I just turned 18. Long hair, bell bottoms, peacoat, that kind of stuff. Really raggedy type of thing. So he kept bothering me, and they had an office over there. He kept bothering me in the office. You always got to look shabby. Why don't you buy yourself some nice clothes? And he just kept on going and going and going and going. I kept saying, leave me alone, leave me alone. I'm fine the way I am. He turned around. He said, come on, I want to go to this special store. It was called Battistoni. Imagine, this store had I'm going back, wow, man, 50 years ago, a bell. You could only go into the store with an appointment. And the stuff inside had no price. Had no price. You couldn't ask how much for something, because if you asked how much it was, you were in the wrong store. One of those deals. But this is stuff that they did. Not me. I barely buy myself a pair of shoes. So Rodolfo, like, instigating. He's having a good time. He goes, come on, we'll go over there. We'll buy some stuff. That way he doesn't bother you anymore. I said, okay, fine. I'll play the game. So we're going to this place. Beautiful place. But it wasn't for me. It was, for a different kind of person. But believe it or not, there was stuff in there that just kind of grabbed me. I remember this overcoat, cashmere coat, all the way down to my, past my knees. Beautiful. I felt, it felt so nice. I said, I'll take it. And then I took a white silk shirt and a pair of black gabardine pants and these Italian loafers. Anyway, I looked like a different person. Got a haircut, really, really short. Beautiful. It changed my whole attitude. I became a young man from a little boy. I loved it. I started shopping in more stuff, and because they was dressing you up in there. And it's something like you see in the movies. And everything was going fine. But my father didn't want to show Rodolfo that he was getting aggravated because I was buying very expensive stuff. I didn't know that. I just kept picking stuff. When we got to the hotel, because he had a hotel room, I guess, every time he went to Rome, until he got himself an apartment. He grabbed me on the side. He says, don't you ever do that to me again. I said, do what? You keep bothering me for months. I got to dress different. Now. So anyway, I had a good time changing my whole look. I mean, I went from an American type of kid to a European young man. As a matter of fact, when I went back to New York, my friends, they were looking at me. I was completely different. I kind of started a trend over there with my friends. They started doing the same thing, going to buying these kind of clothes. Anyway, it worked out good. It worked out good for everybody. Mentally, physically, everything was wonderful. But here comes the deal with the car. Get to New York. I said, okay, Dad, whenever I got a car. You know what he said to me? It's too bad. You should have bought it when you were in Rome. Now you ain't getting nothing. He was pissed at me because of the thing with the clothes. I said, okay, fine. I must have spent a lot of money. I never knew exactly. He never told me what I spent. Got into, I mean, he really pissed me off. He really pissed me off. So now we're fighting again. That's too late. I'm not going to go back to Japan, but I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do. I needed a car. So my brother-in-law got me a GI loan at that time. I think it was like a 1% deal. So he got me I think $1,500, $1,500, I remember. And I went to buy myself a car. And I remember I picked out in those days, when you went to a dealer, the first thing they show you is a catalog. Catalog of the car, what color of interior, what color outside, something that it doesn't exist today. You got to take what they got. On the nip at Le Mans in 1972, Le Mans. I got a triple white on white. What that means was that the car was white, the interior was white, the dashboard was white, and the half top on the roof, because they had like the half rag top on the roof, white. The whole thing was white. So now I put down the $1,500 that my brother-in-law got me as a loan, because I had no cash, as a down payment. And they were going to finance, I remember the car was $3,200. Wow, it was a lot of money then. It was between that and the Jaguar, an XJ12. It was a burgundy with saddle interior. That car today is worth $100,000. That car then was $6,700. Might as well. It would have been $1 million. $6,700. It was a lot. It was a lot of money. So I went for the cheaper car, the $3,200 at the Le Mans. Now they were going to give me the loan, but I needed my father's signature. I said, oh boy. So of course I went home. I told my father, look, I put down a down payment. You don't have to give me any money. You just got to sign. He wouldn't sign. Oh, I could have killed him. And this thing went on for a couple of weeks. Finally, I got him to sign. Just sign his name. You didn't have to lay out anything. So he signed. Finally, I got the car. The Le Mans, white on white, triple white, beautiful. Oh man, that car was gorgeous. So now I go home, and he's got his friends with him in the house, some kind of meeting. And I pulled up with the car. He comes outside in front of the house with his friends. He points at the car. He tells his friends, look what I bought my son. You bought me the car. I can't fucking believe you're saying that. You bought me that. You didn't even want to sign. Anyway, he was just impossible. And so life goes on. Go back to the karate class, and I started going into tournaments, and I went to tournaments in South America, Venezuela, as a matter of fact, in Caracas. I went in and I fought this guy. His name was Marcelo Planchan. He was an instructor of the Venezuelan army in Caracas. And he had a younger brother with him too. He had a school there. So when I went there, it wasn't my thing where I wanted to challenge him. I went there to do some business for my father. Again, I used to run errands for my father. I used to jump on a plane like you jump in a cab and go here, go there. And I had to bring a bag of watches that were coming from Europe. I had to bring them to South America. And when I did that, his friend, the guy was Hugo Marino. He, again, all these guys had a thing about martial art because it was kind of not rare, but it wasn't as common as it is today. And every time I went somewhere, they wanted to parade me somewhere. So the guy he goes, no, I want to take you to the school. I want you to fight with this guy. I said, I don't want to fight anybody. Anyway, he takes me to the school. He introduced me to this guy, Marcelo. And the guy says to me, again, they're full of shit. They want to get you in the class, beat the shit out of you in front of their students, so they look good until they come across the wrong guy. And that happened with me. So get in the class with the guy. Again, I used to go with my uniform all over the place. I don't know why. I had this thing. I still have it. I'm 71 years old. I still have my uniform. A different one. And get on the mat. I always, in the beginning, look, demonstration only, right? Yeah, sure, only demonstration. Okay, fine. And again, the guy's trying to take my head off. But as a matter of fact, he clipped me. He clipped me. Yeah, he did. He made the blood come out of my nose. And the only reaction I had was I just kind of brushed my arm against my nose, and I looked at my sleeve, and there was blood on my sleeve, and I knew it was mine because I knew I got hit. But I didn't show no attitude, but I was boiling inside, and we started again. And when he came into me the second time, boy, I let him have it. I let him have it. I let him have good. Get to an end. And we became friends. And that's the way you gain respect from people. You got to hurt them. You try to be nice. And the thing is, I had this kind of a baby face my whole life. I put some pictures on in one of my videos. You could go back and you could see. I was always had this baby face type of thing. As a matter of fact, once the closing of the Copacabana in Manhattan, I remember years ago, we went to the closing. We all dressed up, young kids, suits, tie. Not like today, fucking these kids. They go around with the pants down to the floor, and there was a group of older guys at a different table, and one of the guys looked at me and goes, these guys are older guys. You look like Babyface Nelson. I know who he was talking about. I've seen plenty of movies. And I looked at him, I kind of, smiled. Yeah, thank you very much. I really don't want to be compared to that guy, but what are you going to do? So, I've been all over the place, and as I'm talking, the back of my mind is reminding me of other things that I want to talk about. I've been on the streets. I kind of lived a double life, trying to be a good son, a good brother, a good, honest person, but it was impossible. It was impossible. My father promoted me to do these things, and just because my father would send me to do things, I would look at them as it was okay to do. And then on the streets in Brooklyn, no matter where you went, you're locking horns with somebody from the streets. I'm talking about these gangsters, or gangster wannabe, or tough guy that want to be. That once you get into it with them, they're not tough guys anymore. And because that whole circle of tough guys, they're like sharks. They consume each other. But I seen it because I grew up with them. I seen them when they hit a civilian, a legitimate person. They don't do it because a legitimate person they don't give them the I don't want to say the respect. They don't calculate them as anything else but nothing. So they can only scare other people like them. But they don't scare people, civilians. They don't. A lot of civilians say, who the fuck are you? Who? What? You're a tough guy. I met a lot of tough guys that when it came down to it, nothing. They were nothing. Like my friend Tommy. I grew up with him. Tommy Patero. He went by Tommy Karate. As a matter of fact, he's all over the internet. I grew up with this kid. And before going to Japan, I was with this guy, Eddie Buff. I didn't know it at the time because his son, Eddie Boy, was my friend. And again, he was another friend of mine. We grew up together, and I knew his father as Mr. L, Eddie Boy's father. But he turned around that this guy wasn't just Eddie Boy's father. He was a true gangster. I mean, I never seen the guy in action in any way or any form. I can't ever say that. But I knew he was a gangster. Maybe because he told me, and I heard it on the street. And he would come up to the dojo every class, because his son was in class with me as well. And watch his son, watch me, watch Tommy, watch the gang, the young kids, practicing. And he took a certain interest in me. At the time, I didn't know it. I just thought that he was looking at me because I was Eddie Boy's friend. And one day he asked me to do him a favor. He wanted me to go and collect some money for him. And, but not in that sense, He just said, the guy owes me money, could you go and get it for me? Yeah, sure, no problem. I understand why, but I went, I got the money for him. When I got there, Mr. Earl told me to come over here, you gotta give him some money. The guy, he looked a little nervous. I don't know why, but he gave me the money. I took it back. When I took the money back to him, he looked like, the guy give you any trouble? I said, no, you're a nice guy. And he started, the guy's this, the guy is that. Anyway, I didn't pay attention to that. It didn't mean anything to me. But he kept every other, more opportunities came up, and one day he says to me, I want you to go over there, and this guy, he's got to give me some money, and I want you to put him in a hospital. I looked at him, why I got to put him in a hospital? I kind of, my radars went up. I said, what's this guy asking me? And I looked at him and said, I tell you the truth, this is not for me. You got the wrong person. You got to get somebody else. But, he still kept me under his wing, he thought. He thought I was under his wing. I was not under his wing. I was just being me. Because when it came time for me to tell him to go fuck himself, I did. And that's a story in another chapter. But anyway, my father, oh yeah, I had to pay $20 a month for my karate dues. I didn't have the money. And my father never, ever contributed to my karate dues, ever. As a matter of fact, he never even came to the class, ever. To the class. He came to one tournament once. And after I kicked the shit out of the people in the tournament, he looked at me. He goes, "I don't like the way you fight. You hurt people. That's a tournament. What did you want me to do? Get beat up?" He never came back. He was weird. Anyway, going back to this Mr. O, he's trying to mold me into his way of thinking. And I didn't go for it. He used to take me around with his friends. On a Wednesday, they had their dinners, a whole bunch of guys, maybe 30, 40 guys. I used to go there because the son used to go there. But anyway, I grew up on the street with these guys, a double life. I had to be with my family, and then I had the other side where I was hanging around with these guys. And Tommy, yeah, that's what I wanted to get to. Tommy always wanted to come with me, always. Come on, take me with you. Tommy, you don't want to go. These people are not nice people. You can't handle these people. because he was a nice kid. Oh my God, my father and my mother loved him. He wanted to be a jeweler. He used to come to my father's office. He used to sit at the bench. He was learning how to be a jeweler. Sometimes I used to, tease him or fool around with him. My father would say, well, leave him alone. You're always picking him. I'm not picking him. He's my friend. We're fooling around. My mother used to, when is Tommy coming over? Why? Yeah, Tommy's busy. Tommy's doing something. He's with his family. He was becoming part of my family. Everybody loved him. Everybody loved him. He wanted to be the godfather of my son, but I already had promised it to Eddie Boy. He got all upset because he couldn't be the godfather to my son. Oh my God. He was he was so emotional. But anyway, and he ended up becoming a gangster. When I found out that he became a gangster, I was like shocked. I couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe it. And I want to talk about that in my next chapter because I don't want to make these chapters too long. Otherwise, whoever's listening to me, they're going to shut me off. So let's talk about Tommy Patera Karate. One of my best friends. He was like my little brother. I want to say everything that nobody's saying about him on the internet. They're all talking about all this killing and stuff that he did, which he did. He did. I'm not saying he didn't. I want to talk about who he was before he became who he is. So until the next chapter, please subscribe, like this video, and promote it. Let this channel grow. If you enjoy this character. Again, this is me. I'm not making this up. Anyway, thank you very much.